USC makes adjustments in the second half to keep the victory bell. We'll discuss what UCLA football is going to have to do in order to rebuild quickly. And Jim Harbaugh talks up the Chargers offensive linemen, but one of them ain't buying it. Good morning. I'm James. And this is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is November 30th, 2025. It is Sunday, the Lord's Day. Happy Advent to all of my fellow frankincense-burning papists out there. I'm going to be heading to church after I post because life has its blessings, like LA sports. And if you like being in the know about LA, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop an update. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, we have an expanded look at the scoreboard throughout football season. So we're going to start with 17th ranked USC 29, UCLA 10. The Trojans keep the victory bell. They now wait to see which bowl game comes a-calling. And at 9-3, it's probably going to be a pretty decent one. But it did not feel like a sure thing off the bat. At halftime, with the Bruins ahead 10-7, there was one thing, though, that stood out to me as why I did not see an upset in the making. Yes, the USC offensive line was missing two starters. UCLA absolutely took advantage. Yes, the kicking game looked as grotesque as Rosie O'Donnell on her best day. But the biggest factor to me, if USC could only stop the run, the game would turn. UCLA had averaged fewer than 100 rushing yards over the course of the last 4 games, all of them losses. The Bruins gained 74 in the first half. That set the rest of the offense on track. So the Trojans adjusted. UCLA finished with just 108 rushing yards. Meanwhile, we knew USC was going to churn yards. They scored 22 unanswered points in the second half. King Miller rushed for 2 touchdowns and 124 yards for the Trojans. Jaden Mayava, he chips in with 2 touchdown passes, 257 yards. As for UCLA, Nico Iamaleava threw for 200 yards and a touchdown pass to Quasi Gilmer. But let's pause for a moment. Pull the camera back. Look things from a 30,000-foot level at the state of the Bruins program. Tim Skipper's not going to land the full-time gig. He's not even acting like he has a shot at it. Because there are also more reports suggesting that the Bruins have James Madison coach Bob Chesney targeted. But let's be real. Skipper deserves a lot of respect. The Bruins played very hard for the guy, not just last night. Look at the first half of last night's game if you do want it validated. But he guided the Bruins to their 3 victories this season, including one over Penn State, which completely trashed the Nittany Lions program. Take a moment and ask yourself, what would UCLA look like if they had simply decided to fire Deshaun Foster at the end of the season? You could literally be looking at a winless UCLA football team. Significantly worse than 3 wins. So, without a coach, where do the Bruins go from here? First off, I don't care about a lot of these other things that people are complaining about. I do not care about the feelings that people have for the Rose Bowl. I don't care about the feelings people have for SoFi Stadium. If I were a Bruins fan, I would drive to Rancho Cucamonga. I would drive to Antelope Valley. I would drive to Palm Springs. I would drive to Blythe if I thought it meant that the Bruins had a chance to get to the college football playoffs. So throw all that Rose Bowl stuff right out the window. I don't care. If I were a UCLA fan, I want wins. I want relevance. So how do you win in football? Well, in my opinion, from having covered football, both college and the NFL, although not now, the way to build a team starts with a franchise quarterback and finding the people who can kick the hell out of the other team's franchise quarterback. Quarterback pass rush. What that means is UCLA is going to have to do whatever they can to try to keep Iamaleava from Iamaleaving. Say what you want about his departure from Tennessee. It was absolutely sketch. You're right. But he has been a damn good soldier for that program. And he has talent. So yeah, that's your first step. You know you have a committee trying to find a coach. You know they're going to come up with a name that you can hire. You need to keep Iamaleava. Then the second thing, as I can't even imagine ever saying this about UCLA. The Bruins finished buck naked last in FBS with just 10 sacks. Buck naked last. You have to get a pass rush. You have to get a pass rush. Now, to be fair, the top two recruits in terms of stars in the rankings for the class of 2026, the top two guys are both defensive linemen. Okay? So there is hope that they could get playing time rather quickly. And then, of course, you build out from those two pillars. But you start off with the quarterback, you add the pass rush, and then you sit there and go, okay, what are we doing? We're going to protect the quarterback, we're going to add skill, blah, 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 blah. It starts with your quarterback and killing the other quarterback, period. Now, before we move on, we have one other note to make about last night's game. This is in regards to SC. Wide receivers Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane sat out for the first quarter. Lincoln Riley said it was for violating team rules, but he wouldn't get specific. So we can all commence gossiping about both of them splitting for the NFL draft. Let me know what you think in the comments thread about either USC or UCLA. Look forward to reading it. Also last night, Dallas 114, Clippers 110. Kawhi Leonard scored 30 points, but that's 7 consecutive home losses for the Clippers. And the Kings edged Vancouver in overtime 2-1. Adrian Kempe with the game winner. The Kings have played more overtime games than the rest of the NHL. Meanwhile, today, the Rams are at Carolina at 10 a.m. The Rams averaged more than 30 points per game during their 6-game winning streak. Now, Matthew Stafford is going to face a defense that is missing its top cornerback in J.C. Horn and a starting safety to boot. Devontae Adams leads the NFL with 12 receiving touchdowns. Now, Carolina does have a strong defensive tackle in Derek Brown. We're not going to deny that. But the Rams built one of the game's biggest offensive interiors specifically for situations like that. But now, as for the Panthers, if they have any shot to win, it's going to be about ball control. They're one of the more run-heavy teams in the league, and their quarterback, Bryce Young, struggled on Monday Night Football. Throw that all into the mix, and I do not see how the Rams don't come out with a win. They would have to face plant, commit a bunch of turnovers, just completely implode. By the way, also for the Rams, corner Akello Witherspoon has been activated for the game, but receiver Tutu Atwell will be sitting this one out. Also, at 1:25, Las Vegas is in town to play the Chargers. You have to wonder if Jim Harbaugh is laying the blarney on really thick this week when he's talking about the offensive line. His latest idea to protect Justin Herbert's blind side is to shift Jamari Salyer out to left tackle, hoping that he can do something to maybe stop Max Crosby for a second and a half. Now, Harbaugh is also saying, hey, the entire line is solid and it's as healthy as it's ever been since Joe Alt went down. Do you buy that? Me neither. Me neither. Especially with what guard Mekhi Becton told ESPN. But we're going to get to that in a moment. We'll get to that in a moment. I do believe the Chargers will win today. They may struggle out of the gate. They are coming off a bye. I'd imagine that the Raiders would finally commit to the run game. Why? Because Vegas only has 2 talented people on the offensive side of the ball. One is tight end Brock Bowers and running back Ashton Jeanty. Now, Chip Kelly was fired as offensive coordinator for reasons only he and Pete Carroll know. But the problem with Kelly was he kept the ball in Geno Smith's hands, not the running back. I mentioned recently that I saw these teams play in Las Vegas earlier this year. The Bolts got the W because Justin Herbert was able to make just one or two plays that Smith could not. Now, to me, I see that scenario repeating again. Unless Crosby melts through that offensive line and kills Herbert, which would be unfortunate. I don't think it's going to be an ass-kicking over the Raiders today, but the Chargers will likely get to a lead, and then they'll put their feet up because they know the Raiders can't muster an offense. Also today, New Orleans is in town to face the Lakers at 6:30. So with that all out of the way, let's get to the news. Because we mentioned Mekhi Becton a few minutes ago. He was the top guard in last offseason's free agent class, thanks to this one-year career revival he had over in Philadelphia. The idea was Becton coming over to LA was going to make this super formidable left side of the offensive line for the Chargers. Now, if you remember, the Bolts' interior line last year was an abomination against the run, according to the analytics nerds. Moreover, in the playoff humiliation in Houston, they proved to be an abomination against a pass rush. So yeah, the idea of adding Becton was supposed to be a good start in finally building the offensive line of Jim Harbaugh's dreams. Problem is, they didn't keep building. And as for Becton, he hasn't even played 70% of the offensive snaps this season. He's missed multiple games due to multiple knee injuries and a concussion. But Becton still has his arm strength because he just threw the entire Charger brass under the bus, claiming, quote, things are different around here, unquote, that are very frustrating to him. For example, in the Jacksonville loss, Becton was benched. The coaching staff claimed it was because he was limping, but Becton said he was perfectly willing to go. When asked what his goals were for the rest of the season now, Becton replied, quote, just stay healthy and try to finish every game. If I'm allowed, unquote. Does that sound like a guy who's fully buying into what the Bolts are trying to do? So yeah, when Jim Harbaugh is saying that the line looks healthy, color me skeptical. If you're a Bolts fan, of course, let me know what you think in the comments thread. It was only yesterday when I finally compiled a list over all these players that the scribes are swearing to us that the Dodgers are in hot pursuit of. And I was telling you guys yesterday that player agents call the scribes and claim that the Dodgers just called them saying, oh, we're so interested in your clients. They're based, whether it's true or not. Why? Because if you get your player's name in the news as somebody the Dodgers want, then other teams might go, oh my God, we really want that guy now. It's basically a way of getting what they call social proof, for lack of a better term. Only in this case, money's involved. Closer Ryan Helsley was one such guy. After all, he is a closer. But no, that's not happening. The Dodgers passed. I don't even know if they ever even tried to pursue him. And Helsley isn't waiting for those big bucks from LA. He signed with Baltimore. So yeah, that's one name off the list. But if you love pointless gossip, don't you fret none. No siree, Bob. The Dodgers are allegedly going after Paul Skeens. So, with the Dodgers and the scribes, and certainly the player agents, it's a lot like reincarnation. A rumor never dies. It simply gets new life and changes names. Simple as that. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Did you watch USC versus UCLA last night? What were your thoughts about it? And for that matter, what do you think of the state of the Chargers offensive line? And if you enjoyed this update, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day. Thank you for watching. I'm James, and we'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.